Welcome to episode 2 of the Verified Build. That felt weird. I don't know how we're opening these. Anyway, let's get into it. Guys, hopefully this isn't the first time you've seen my face. My name's Adam, founder of Verified. And if this is the first video you've watched on the channel, click pause here, go back to the channel and watch the property tour. Because I'm going to refer back to the property that we've purchased for this Verified build a few times, and it'd be good for you to have a bit of context in terms of what that build looks like. So, what we're actually trying to achieve with all this content, showing you a full house reno that we've badged up as the Verified build. Well, it'll probably help if I share with you what is Verified, what is the trade directory, and what is the strategy that we're trying to roll out to connect you with local professional trades. So without giving you the full backstory and taking you down a very long memory lane, I founded this company in 2013 with a very simple goal of connecting homeowners with local professional trades. And we do that and we keep it completely free for both the homeowner and the trade, and we're really proud of what we do here. But rather than spending all of our time and our energy going behind the scenes, getting all the rankings in Google, so when you type in like plumber in Birmingham, it'll be ranked #1, we meet these trades on a regular basis and we're really proud of this community. We've got like 29,000 trades in our community, and we wanted to connect homeowners a little bit closer than just a profile, to really show you the people behind the businesses. Because when you browse a trade directory, what you see are the reviews, the qualifications, the insurances, all the stuff you need to see. But behind every one of those businesses, there are some really amazing people. So what we wanted to do was get some of these amazing people on camera and show you the amazing work that they do. And you're gonna get to meet some of them on this build and every build after. So what is a Verified build? Well, very simply, it's a full home renovation project on a pretty big house, a pretty big and expensive house. We bought a property in the Midlands and we fell in love with this property the moment that we saw it, and it was up for auction. So I'll quickly share with you what that experience was like, because I think there's potentially some learnings there. This is only the second property we've bought at auction. We did one of these about 2 years ago to really test, can we project manage it? Can we get the Verified trades on the site? And would this be something that, one, the trades want to participate in and we enjoy doing? We loved that process, so now we're capturing all the content. So during that auction, we benefited actually from other people coming to the auction. It was digital, don't get me wrong, but you can see the number of people on the site. It's like an eBay auction. You can see the number of people that are interested in the property and the bids going up. And one thing that happens when other people are bidding on a property is it kind of validates the price. Because when you go and buy a property at auction, it's not like buying a house where you put an offer in and then you've got an amount of time, you get your legal team, you get site surveys, you get a structural engineer out if needed to really work out, is this property worth the money? Because the bank at that point is taking the risk. They send someone out to say, is this property worth 250K? Because they're giving you a mortgage of that value. It's not like that with an auction. What we had to do was do our own due diligence. So you get given all the legal packs and then it's make of that what you will. On this date, make an offer. Because there's more people bidding at that auction, we felt confident that we're in the ballpark of where it should be. Because you could be 10, 20, 50K out on a property if you've missed something. Someone in this game has been doing it a lot longer than us. They might be doing property development for 20 years and go, actually, that roof, which is a sensitive topic, which I'll get to in a little bit, that roof needs fully replacing. That's a 25K cost. We may not have seen that. So when there's more people bidding, you know you're in the right ballpark. This one was a bit different. The reason this one was a bit different is because, one, we fell in love with it. We got attached to it. Because this isn't about buying this property, renovating it dead quick, flipping it, and making a profit. This is about content. This is about inspiring you as a homeowner about what you could do in your home, as well as educating you on the amazing work trades professionals have to do that you might not take into consideration when they're putting their quote in. There's a whole heap of content we're going to build on this channel to both support the trade community that we work with, but also inspire and educate you as a homeowner. That's the goal of this build. And having said that, it doesn't mean we're trying to lose money on these builds. We naturally want to make money, because I also think that gives us some longevity, because we want to do this build and lots more builds moving forward. There's some cool ideas we've already got in the can, which is the next build we want to think about homes of the future, solar panels, EV, air source heat pumps, you name it. All that stuff is going to come to the channel after this build goes well. And as a quick call to action, as a favor, if you're so far into this video right now and you haven't clicked subscribe, go and press it, because you're obviously interested in this sort of content. And I want to hear why you've subscribed in the comments. So when we went on a tour of the property, it wasn't actually the auction house taking us on the tour. It was the current owner of the property, or one of the current owners, should I say. And that for me created an opportunity, because it was really interesting to hear about the story of the property. It kind of brought it to life. And naturally, I bought in at that point. I love the story. I love how the property used to be one big house. All the kids moved out. The previous owners downsized, converted it to a house and a cottage, which is why there's technically 2 builds happening at the same time right now. There's a 4-bed, 2-bath house, and at the end of it, there's a 2-bed, 1-bath cottage, both getting full new heating systems, electrical systems, all that good stuff. Sounds like there's a helicopter about to land on this building, but we're gonna press on. If you did hear that, fine. And because we got this tour from the owner, I was also able to get a steer of the price that they were looking for. Naturally, the auction house is incentivized to get as much money as possible. And interestingly, when you're speaking to the seller, you can sort of gauge the ballpark that they're looking for. I also picked up on the fact that this property was being sold as 2 separate auction lots. And he dropped a little clue for me in our conversation that some of the people that have had a tour, they only wanted one or the other. There was 2 properties here. They wanted to sell them both at the same time, but very few people were willing to buy them both at the same time. And that might have created future problems for them if only one property sold. And how does that affect the value, the time frame, and naturally the income? They want the cash for these properties. They want to get rid of them and move on. So that was our leverage here. We had leverage because we were willing to buy both properties. So we used that leverage into the negotiation to actually say, can we do a deal pre-auction? What's the price that we can get to? So we'd have to go through all the auction, wait for all this, because we wanted to get to work. We wanted to buy the property, get onto site and start the rip out. And we ended up getting that done. Naturally, it creates a little bit of uncertainty anytime at an auction because you're given this pack, you have to do your own due diligence. So once we agreed on price, we had a structural engineer walk around the property. We highlighted the things that we were planning to do just to make sure that it was all structurally sound before we start knocking walls down. And then the engineer highlighted some options for us of stuff we could do. So at that point, we had a really good idea of what is possible within this property, got the price agreed, made the bid, got it closed, got the keys. Then the rip out starts. So the first job is the rip out. And during this stage, and this will matter in a moment, but I actually wasn't around for a couple of weeks. We had a team doing the rip out, and during that rip out stage, they started to punch holes in the ceiling. We found some really weird stuff in the property. On the house, there's a concrete landing. Still trying to work out why that is the case. Never seen it before in any property. Secondly, the ceilings have been overboarded, but not just overboarded, like there's a big old void. And we're trying to work out why they would have left so much void in the ceilings. Again, anything that you see in this build that you go, well, I know the answer to that, this is why that's happened, comment below. Like, we'd love to hear, if you're an expert, because there's going to be homeowners and trades watching this content, get in the comments and help us out. That's what we're building here, a community around this build. During this stage, punching these holes in the ceiling, the guys stuck their head up and saw that inside the roof, it was rotten. And that caused a problem. Anytime you're doing any renovation work, you put together a budget. Which is dead simply, what needs to happen, how much is it going to cost? And if we buy this box, this house, for 500k, we have to put 150k into it. Can we sell it for more than 650k? You set a budget. And we budgeted for some remedial work on the roof. What we hadn't budgeted for is taking every single tile off the roof, re-strengthening all the trusses, the battens, refelting it all, and then on the top roof, basically redoing the top roof. We hadn't factored any of that in, but the guys on site sent me some photos. And at the end of the day, we're building this channel to sort of be best in class. Like, we want to be the channel that you can go to and know these guys on this channel are doing it the right way. So when I saw these photos, even though it wasn't the budget, we decided we have to do some work on the roof. And you'll actually see some content of my first reactions of getting to the property once I'd got this news. But we had to move quickly because we have this scope of works and we've got all these trades booked in. And I guess this shows one of the first problems that you have when you're doing a large renovation project is this domino effect. Like, if one thing goes wrong, these trades, especially professional trades, they're busy. These guys and girls have got their calendars booked up months in advance, very often months in advance. So what you're doing is saying, actually, I need a new heating system installed and we'll put it into this 2-week window. But if there's a problem here, that cascades down the line. It kind of knocks everything back. And all of a sudden, the heating engineer can't get in for first fix, the electrician can't get in for first fix, and it just goes on. We had a 2-week window while I was away to get quotes and make sure that the first day that I'm back, the roof starts to come off. And the first problem that we had is the first 2 quotes. And let me just take a second and talk about quotes, because I think it's important, because every homeowner that's watching this, you may be getting your first renovation, you may be getting your first meaningful extension or, I guess, expenditure on the house. and it's when do you get multiple quotes from the trade? And we have I guess my view on it personally is depending on the size of the job will depend on how many quotes that you get. If you're getting a tap put on the outside of your property, just find a good trade that's insured and whatever their price is. If you've done your due diligence and you find someone that's well reviewed, don't go and drag a plumber around 3 times to get 3 quotes for a 70, 100, 120 pound job. That's a lot of time out of a lot of people's day to actually come and quote you for that work. But when you're getting something that's meaningful done to your property, completely understand that you want to make sure you're getting charged a competitive rate, but it's also not just about the price. There's kind of this triangle that we think about in terms of how you can get work done. You can get it fast, you can get it cheap, you can get it good, but you can only pick 2 out of 3. So what does that actually mean? If you want it good and fast, it is not going to be cheap. Because good and fast, basically what you're asking for is, how do I get the best trades, the most professional trades in this field to get onto the job quickly and get the work done? Well, that's expensive because you're asking for the best. If you want it cheap and good, that's going to be slow because people will be booked in advance, and you might find people that want to jump onto the job as they can to spread that cost out and make it more affordable to you. And the reason I'm mentioning this now is we had this 2-week window. Because it's a sizable job, we got multiple quotes from verified trades. We got 3 roofing companies to come measure up. So the first thing the roofing companies do, they often price things on a square meterage of the roof because that's the work that needs to be done. So they measured up the roofs and they put their quotes in. But with that quote, we wanted a breakdown of what was included because the chimneys needed repointing, 4 key light roof windows needed to be installed, so we needed to make sure that was visible on the quote and all included. And again, the things that you care about might be different. You might not need it fast. We needed it done quickly because of this domino effect of everything else on the job. So for every quote we requested, how long would this job take? When can you start and when do you estimate it to be completed? And 2 out of 3 of the quotes said it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks. And the reason for that was quite simple. It's the amount of bodies they could put on the site. Whereas the 3rd quote came in and they could get 5 to 9 roofers on site every day and would have it done in 7 to 10 days. To get a company to come and do that, what that means behind the scenes is they have teams of roofers on jobs all the time. They have a large staff. Large staff equals large fixed costs. So I know I'm not going to be paying the cheapest square meter, but I'm fine with that because I need fast and I need good, which means I can't have cheap. So when I had a conversation with Michael, who runs MCM Roofing, I explained the situation. I explained he wasn't the cheapest. I also explained one thing that was important, is on these 3 quotes that came in, his square meterage was higher than the other 2. So I explained that to Michael. When the quotes came in, I said, everything looks good. I really value the fact that you can get this done quickly. But one thing that is a bit of a discrepancy across your quote, because it's based on a square meterage, is you've estimated 30 extra square meters across the roof compared to the 2 quotes that I've got. Would you do me a favor? Would you mind going back out and remeasuring and making sure that you're comfortable with the square meters on the roof? He did that. He said he'd go there on Monday at 5 p.m. Monday at 5 to 5, MCM Roofing got onto the site. They remeasured the roof, and within 2 hours, I had my revised quote. Wasn't significantly different, but you have to understand that is also like a mini test. That gives me confidence as someone that says, this company says they're gonna be there at 5. They arrived at 5 and got the quote back the same day because he knew that time was sensitive. And then he won the job. So because of a number of factors, MCM Roofing became the contractor that won the roofing job. And that's what you're gonna see in this episode. You're gonna see what it looks like post rip out, as well as the start of the roofing. All the tiles are coming off. They're gonna strengthen the roof. And Harrison, who's our head of production here, has popped the drone up so you can get a good visual of what this roof looks like. Now, I'm very aware that you've been watching this content and we're kind of in this very officey environment. That's not what this channel's about. This isn't about me talking to camera every show, giving you this long monologue about what's going on. This is gonna be on-site content with the trade community that we're working with. But I felt it really important to give you this context about what this whole channel is going to be about. If you're watching this and you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, before we take you to site, hit subscribe. No, seriously, click pause, hit subscribe. Now let's get to site. Wow. Well, this looks a bit different to last time I was here. So, a bit of context. I was here 4 weeks ago, did the walk through the property, you've seen that. And Dan, our project manager, has been on site, focusing on the rip out of the property, taking everything out. And I haven't seen the inside yet, so I'm looking forward to going and have a look. He's also been focusing on the landscaping. But as part of the rip out, naturally we've taken some ceilings down, made some holes, and actually had a better view of what's going on inside the roof. And there's just too much work to do on the roof in terms of like patching up. So it wasn't in the budget of the property. And it is one of the downfalls of buying at auction and moving quick. And we'll create some more content around buying at auction, what that looks like, some of the things we've learned, some of the benefits buying at auction brings, but also some of the pitfalls. But what we've decided to do is take the roof off. So arriving here today, we've decided to get the scaffolders in this week, and next Monday at the point of recording this, we've got the roofers in. So within 5 days, they're going to be in, 5 to 9 lads on site, roof off, roof back on, and we're going to be putting the key light roof windows up in that top space up there. But just to take a moment, I can't believe how much work has been done on this back garden. This is going to be an absolutely stunning space.
Well, quick update on Project 001. As you can see, we're out in the garden. A lot of change been going on. Thinned out the garden. We've taken a few trees down, taken a few bushes out of the way, and we're starting to look at profile in the garden area. Down the bottom area, you can see we're digging out. We're looking to make that into a patio area, so we're getting ready for stone. So we're getting it down to the 2 courses below, minus our type 1 porcelain levels. We're ready to build it all back up, make sure it's a good solid base, giving it a nice solid finish.
And it's not just the space that we've got. Dan's made these beautiful levels. So if we think about what we can do here, and don't forget, we've got 2 properties here. We've got the house and we've got the cottage. So we definitely need to make some clear segregation of the properties, make a communal access, which we're thinking about going around the side of the property, all the way down the back, and having rear access to your gardens. I think that's still to be decided, but this is beautiful. I actually can't believe how big this space is. I actually also think we've under budgeted for the garden, because seeing it now, there's a lot of square meterage that we need to deal with. And if you're buying a property like this, well, the house is going to be 650 plus, the cottage is 200,000 pounds plus. The garden is going to be a feature. You can see we've got beautiful backdrop to the garden. It's one of those things that sells a property in the end. The roof, yeah, you can see it now. Looking at the roof, it is just wavy. It's very wavy, isn't it? When we bought the property, obviously we'd seen the roof, and I think what I'd done is I convinced myself when I was going to auction is its character, it's the nature of the building. It's a very old building, it's in the heritage. But whether it's character or not, it needs to be sound. Whoever's buying this property wants to know the roof is sound. So I think visually, it's probably not going to look hugely different for you guys who are watching this. All that's going to happen is scaffolding is going to go up, roofers are going to come in, take off all the tiles, and then replace any beams, any battens, any laths that need replacing, and then just retile the whole roof.
Same tiles as before?
All the same tiles are going back on. One thing we might have an issue with is actually tiles will naturally get damaged when they come off. There's missing tiles in some parts of the roof anyway, is finding old tiles that match. But that's part of the quote, and we'll introduce you to the roofer next week. So H just asked the question is, why are we actually using the old tiles compared to just buying, his words, a few packs of new roof tiles? There's 230 square meters of roof on this property. Firstly, that's a lot of packs of tiles. Tiles are not cheap. Also, there is some supply chain issues in the UK here at the moment on some products, tiles being one of them. So getting them in the time frame that we need, because we decided to completely re-roof this last week. We got the scaffolders in this week, and we got the roofer coming in with 5 to 9 of his team next Monday, so they can deliver it in 5 to 7 days, because we need him in and out within 7 days. We wouldn't have been able to get the delivery of the tiles and everything on time, but also the tiles aren't damaged. There's some missing, but the tiles are fine. It's the structure internally of the roof that isn't sound. That's the thing that we need to work on. In order to actually fix the structure, all the tiles need to come off, need to expose everything, see what needs to be fixed, put the tiles back on. One thing that was a consideration is when we're thinking about getting it re-roofed is, naturally, you know, you need the scaffolding to go up. But if we just have a look down here, it's not the easiest property to actually get scaffolding up for. He nearly went over there. So we're in a brook. The gable end of the building is actually in and around a brook and a bridge. Not the easiest job for the scaffolders, but needs to be done. We also have to be very mindful of making sure that none of the scaffolding encroaches on the road, because it's quite a narrow bridge and a narrow road anyway. We've got to be mindful and respectful of the people that live in the village. There used to be a key box here. They've moved the keys. They're testing me. This is this door, I believe. Let's go and have a look at what this place looks like post rip out. he's took a lot of this ground away. I'm noticeably shorter against the door. I know, because before I was about here, I'm noticeably shorter. There we go. They've even put a little step here for me, knowing that I'm coming in. Nice, appreciate it. Only thing I'm really noticing is there was loads of appliances over there. It'd be interesting to know if we've sold them. I'm hoping we did sell them, because I think they were all working. Or we may have just skipped them for speed. Dan's got a nice new wide double American fridge at his house. Nothing too much to say in here, which is fine. Let's have a quick look. Got lots of cobwebs on me. Nothing new here, apart from this bad boy. Guess what's in the box? I'm not gonna reveal it right now. Guess what's in the box?
What's in the box? What could it be? Is it tall or is it small? Why don't you tell me?
Very dark, isn't it? I'm trying to open these up for you, H, to get some light in for the camera. Now we're getting to the new stuff. Come with me.
Oh, you've not seen this, have you?
I haven't seen this at all. I think my initial thoughts walking into here is kind of what you said because you're on the cameras, H, is this property is so dark. We desperately need, it's such a beautiful day today. It's so bright outside. This property desperately needs more light. We've punched the hole through here. In the original walkthrough that I did, I was sharing with you that we're trying to make this into more of an open plan. So this is supporting, so we're taking this out. So naturally what the builder's done is just put a hammer through to make sure that he can get through. Dan, definitely Dan. It's got Dan written all over it, that has. It's got Dan written all over that.
Started knocking some bricks through. Typical trade, break a bit of the brickwork.
And I believe the plan is still to take this out because we just need more light. It's all about more light. We've got Glazing Hub, who are a partner of the Verified Build, coming over today to do a full site survey for all the windows and doors. And we definitely need to highlight to them that we need more light through both these doors. If you think about this, actually, if you go back, just see what this room looks like. Let me just open this door up here. So this is some of the natural light we want to try and capture into this room. You know what? It still doesn't make it hugely lit, does it? Excuse that. Because that feels like best case scenario right now. We really need some consideration of how we get more light into this space. Carpets are up. Hey! So we've got some boilers. So we've got the Baxi 830 Combi and we've got the Baxi 825. Shout out to our friends over at Baxi. Baxi offer heating solutions, and we've got two products, different products, one for each property. We'll get into more of this when we've got the professional heating engineer on site, but we've got the combi boiler going into the cottage, and we've got the heat-only boiler with a Megaflow cylinder going into the house. And then we've also got all the flues, fixings, and fixtures. What's going on here? Oof. Now I see why we needed a re-roof.
How does that make you feel?
That I'm not wasting my money. Yeah. But the scaffolding that's going up outside now and the 5 to 7 to 10 people that are coming next week to re-roof this, it is needed. I think the one thing I'm thinking right now is these ceilings are quite low. And as Dan pointed out, you might share it, but there's some overboarding that's gone on here, but there's actually a lot of space up there. And I'm trying to work out, is there an opportunity to take these ceilings down and just create more height in these upstairs rooms and benefit from that? Don't get me wrong, there's
All costing though, right?
100% agent. All costing, all has to be considered. But the thing with Verified Builds is it's here for this, like this inspiration and education. We keep coming back to those are the two pillars of this channel, what we're trying to do. Like we're not trying to teach people how to squeeze profits out in every job. Like there's lots of channels out there to go and work out. If you want to become a property developer yourself, this isn't the channel for you. This is for people that have home improvement projects. They want to add some more space, add some more light, add some creativity to their own home. And we want to give you the ideas to do that. So it's not necessarily all about cost. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to lose money. That would be bad business. But we're happy to sort of reinvest any profits we'll make on the property into creative solutions to give you guys watching this some inspiration and education on what you can do in your own home. Yeah, so this is the example of like overboarding. So we can see we've got these beams here and you've got, what's that, 10-inch gap? So it's completely overboarded. So we could just take these out. Again, I'm not the builder, so I would like to understand why someone would have done this. So let's make sure we get that content for the people watching. Is why would someone have overboarded this to the extent that they have? See a different colour ceiling, you can see light coming through, and yeah, some of those beams are rotten. So what we'll have, once this is done, we can probably take more of this ceiling down and we can show you what the new roof looks like internally, what a new roof should look like once it's been done professionally by a verified trade. So this is where we were stood in that bath, weren't we? I'm oddly excited about what we're doing with both the bathroom spaces. We're working with some amazing people over at Rocker, and follow the channel. We've got some amazing styles, 2 different styles going in each property. I'm looking forward to sharing with you what you can do with such a small space if you get the right product and the right people doing the design. Wow. I knew the work we'd done, but I am bloody excited for this room. This is going to be stunning. So our thought behind this room is to make this the master. So we've got the master, we've got 4 key light roof windows going into this property that's going to add a tremendous amount of natural light in. The ensuite's going here. I am actually a little bit taken back right now. I am fully taken back by this room right now. This is going to be so stunning. I'm really hoping that we've got some considerations as to what we're going to be doing here with the banister, the balustrade. What's the difference between a banister and a balustrade? Comments. Let me know. Educate me in the comments below. I'm thinking like a glass balustrade / banister here. Could look visually stunning with some like nice wooden beams in the middle to break it up. Seriously though, is your head okay? Do you want to turn around? Give me a spin. So we can see the electrician's been in. He's in on Monday. Quick shout out to Nick Bundy. Nick Bundy Electrical is on site from next Monday doing the first fix on both properties. Looking forward to making content with him and his team, taking that monstrosity out and doing a full house rewire on both properties. Oh wow, this is a good sized room. I haven't actually caught up with Dan around the plans of what we're doing under here. I think in an ideal world, if I was buying this property, I would want to take this out, and to give you an idea, because this is where the stairs come down, there's a line down here because this is where the stairs come. And if you imagine here, you could make that a built-in wardrobe space. So one thing I'm definitely happy about, and it's just nice to see, and I guess whenever you're working with a trades professional, not just the work that they do, but how they think about your property. Yes, this is a full house renovation, and there is naturally going to be lots of rubble, lots of dirt created. But whether you're just having window replaced, roof window installed, or a new boiler put in, you want to work with a trade that cleans the property up. And I'm really actually impressed with the amount of rip out that's taken place and how organized this building site feels right now. Very happy. Just wanted to share that with you, really. Bear with. You wanna know the truth? I thought this would feel a little bit bigger with everything taken out. And I don't know why that is. Maybe these weren't normal depth units and worktops. I thought we would have had a bit more space. Don't know why. You know what? Flooring in this property is still an unknown. So we've got one of our members of the community who's come across, who's a carpet fitter and supplier. They've been asked to think about the stairs up. So we've got the quote in for that. But we still don't know what we're doing downstairs. Part of me would just like to bring these tiles back to life, but we've got ugly things like this nasty thing here. And by the way, while you're down there, H, quick shout out, Band of Builders boots. They're the only boots you'll ever see me wearing on site, and I want you to go and get yourself a pair. Head over to V12, type in V12 footwear online. Go and get yourself a pair of boots. They're not gimmicky. These guys are professional. They've been making boots for lots of different trade categories, but these are special because £5 of every purchase goes over to Band of Builders. If you don't know what Band of Builders is, it's a charity that helps trades professionals that have fallen on hard times. It happens, and they're there to support them. I'm very privileged to be a trustee of the charity. Go and buy yourself some proper boots that come with trade laces. And then anytime you're in a builder's merchant, you see someone wearing these, you can go and do a little foot shake with them, whatever you want to do. Go boosh, there you go. Give them the nod. They're in the same club as you. Get yourself some Band of Builders boots. It's the one thing you do after watching all this and you're in the trade, after joining verifiedtrades.co.uk, shameless plug, Go and get yourself some V12 boots. I didn't realise this was such an odd shape when this bath was in. How did this bath even fit?
That place.
I'm aware of that. Small space, we've got some creative ideas, got some nice bathroom furniture going in from our friends over at Rocker. Whoa, where's the door gone? Oh, there was a stud wall. Hey, try and find some footage. I'm pretty sure there was a stud wall here, and then I believe this was, yeah, this was right. You can tell where it is. This was boxed in and taken unnecessary space. So they've taken this out. Obviously stud wall's gonna go back in. There was a sink in that corner, storage unit there, taken it all out, opened it up. This is actually a really good size room. Don't forget, this is the cottage, 2 bedrooms. This is bedroom 1, and the master, which has had the most work. Great. Nice. Good view of the roof again. There's lots of sunlight coming in there. Just what you want out of a roof. One thing I will say is I think we're very, very lucky to have the weather that we've got in the UK right now. So at the point of filming this is like the 2nd week in August, and it's a heat wave here in the UK. It's gonna be 30, 35 degrees. So to get the roof off and back on, and hopefully it's completely dry, very, very lucky to be able to get that done, to be honest. Just taking that out's made this into a nice space. Just trying to work out, and again, one thing we're looking at doing with the property is fully staging it. So if you don't know what staging is, when you go to a property like a show home on a new estate, where it's got all the furniture, the bedroom, the couch, everything as if it's lived in. By staging a property, for a potential buyer, you take any question marks they've got out their head. Example, coming into this room, my head's already going to, well, where would you put a bed, as an example? But if you get someone in who's a professional designer and can stage the property, and they supply, the way staging works is what they'll do is they'll come in, show you some designs of what they think the style and decor should be. You give that a thumbs up, and they come down and just decorate the whole property. And then you get all the professional photos done that end up being on the estate agent when you sell the property, and when someone comes and walks around the property, they can visually see where stuff will go. It takes away questions from a buyer. Whenever you're selling anything in life, if you can take away questions, you're gonna get to a quicker sell. So I'm thinking, where would a bed go in this bedroom? Leave that up to the staging company. But again, it's just one of those things that you can do that really sets the property off whenever you're selling it. It's not cheap though. So the last property we did that we got staged, it was, I would say, slightly larger than the cottage. And we end up spending just over £2,000 on the initial staging. And then you can pay for it on a weekly or monthly basis if the property's not selling at the rate that you wanted. So it's definitely a consideration. By staging it, you can command the slightly higher sell price. I also think that you get the sell quicker. And naturally, if you're buying and selling properties, if that's your game, it's all about turning cash over. So I would consider staging it if you're a property developer. If you are a property developer watching this, comment below, what's your thoughts on staging? We'd love to know. Decided to grab a seat, get some emails done, and just check on a few things for the project. And actually, literally just a second, had a message off Nick Bundy. As you guys know, because I've probably previously mentioned on the channel, we've got Nick Bundy from Nick Bundy Electrical coming to do the house rewire on both properties. And we're going to share everything with you on the projects, and just got a message off him that says, like, along the lines of, hi mate, starting work on both properties on Monday, chasing out, and he normally takes 50% deposit on rewires. I think payment terms for trades is often a question in terms of homeowners not wanting to pay deposits and wanting to wait until the work is complete. I would say every trade is different, and giving them an opportunity as to why they ask for deposits is really important. But we also have to take in consideration that you're dealing with a small business here, and for small businesses, cash flow is absolutely king. And even though if you have all the intentions in the world of paying that trades professional when the job is done, if you don't pay on time, that trade has materials to pay for. They have to go to their merchant, and whether it's house rewire that's putting in sockets, switches, fuse boards, a boiler, a cylinder, or a builder coming in and doing roof windows or a bifold, that builder has to either buy that material up front or put it on credit, but eventually they've got to pay for it. And cash flow is one of the biggest factors that can put small businesses out of business. So I would always say, as a homeowner, when you're dealing with trades, be considerate as to they run a small business, they need to cash flow it too. I would say it's important. We don't want to pay for a job in its entirety up front, but we have to understand that there is costs that a trades professional is exposed to in the day-to-day running of their business. If they don't get any of that cash covered, they can't get out of bed in the morning and do their job. So in short, I'm going to text Nick back right now and let him know a 50% deposit on the house rewire is absolutely fine. Keynote there is, if you find the trade that you want to work with, and again, if you are looking for a trade for any home improvement project, head over to verifiedtrades.co.uk. We make sure that they are qualified, vetted and insured to do the work you're asking them to do. We do that hard work for you. But then you can go and get multiple quotes depending on the size of the job and finding the trade that you most get on with and feel most secure and trusting with to get that work done. Because at the end of the day, you're asking an individual or a team of people to come into your home and do some work. So whoever you feel comfortable with, whatever their payment terms are, if you've done your due diligence, making sure your trade professional is qualified, insured and reviewed to do the work, and it's whoever you feel most comfortable with, then payment terms are something that come with that package. So Joe has just arrived. Joe is one of the founders over at Glazing Hub. Glazing Hub is our windows and doors partner. Why are you creeping away? We need you on camera. Come on, Joe.
Talking, I was like,
Go on. Joe, how are you?
very good yourself.
What we're doing today? And by the way, I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to be thinking, Adam, why are you asking me this? Because you already know.
Yeah.
Some of it I don't, I've just been faking it the whole time. But it's for the people who are watching the channel.
Yeah,
so what we're doing today?
Measuring all the windows, shooting a bit of content. Tez is coming up. Yeah, just checking all the apertures, checking the thresholds, stuff like that.
So up until this point, this is the first time that Joe has been on site. So if you're getting any windows or doors with Glazing Hub, we know firsthand the pain of getting windows and doors where it can be with some companies. Just share with me what Glazing Hub is trying to do and what you're trying to solve.
Started the business 2.5 years ago with the concept of trying to support the local installer. There's a huge issue where kind of they've been neglected within the industry. Kind of the support structure is not there for them. So it was creating tech, supporting them in their business, championing them, and then trying to help them from marketing all the way through to kind of giving them a good product at the end, a good service. We want to take that one step further, which is a project that we're working on currently at the minute. But yeah, it's all good basically.
So we know what you do with the trade side.
Yeah.
That's very close to both our hearts in terms of our background. A lot of people watching this are homeowners, and when they're thinking about getting windows and doors, even me before meeting you 3 and a bit years ago, I was like, the idea of getting new windows and doors, even if mine looking a bit shoddy, a bit dated, I don't want someone coming to my house, sitting with me for 4 hours, giving me the high pressure sell.
Yeah.
And I'm quite resilient. My wife would fold like a cheap deck chair and be like, bye.
Yeah.
What do you do differently when it comes to homeowners wanting windows and doors?
This is part of the new project that we're working on at the minute. So our core focus when we first started the business was to support the trade. Then when you look at actually the whole industry, it's rotten really from the top to the bottom. So our main core is to try and now support the actual homeowners and effectively control the whole process from start to finish. Still championing the local installer at the end, but instead of obviously having the high pressure sales, sitting in your house for 4 to 6 hours, you know, giving you the whole pitch on the company, the windows and everything like that, it's doing an online service where the customer can, from a brief video, measure their own windows, send photos in if they wish to, choose a specification of the windows, get a price, and then choose and have full integration basically with us as a company, but also choose their installer so they know which installer is going to come through the door. Whereas when you look at some of the big companies out there, you're choosing it purely on the brand. The installers, some of them are great, some of them aren't. It's literally luck of draw. So it's giving the homeowner back the power where they've got the full control of actually, this is the person that I want working on my own property. You know, you spent a lot of money investing in that. So, you know, you want it to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, completely. And I would say, wait for that to stop. Scaffolders are noisy. They're also pretty big, so I'll talk quietly. So Joe just mentioned what they're building over at Glazing Hub, but I would say really important, specifically for this build, this is the first time you've been on site.
Yep.
Tez is coming here to do full measurement site survey, but I already know exactly what style I'm getting and how much I'm paying.
Correct.
How can you do that without coming to site? Because that's like the aha moment for homeowners when it goes, actually, I can get a price without having to sit with someone for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's a lifesaver for someone that's interested in getting the windows and doors. How do you manage to do that?
We do it really simply. It's a case of just having a quick chat on the phone with the customer, sharing obviously our ideas, you know, so we get photos sent across by the customer, we have a look at it, we can clearly see obviously how many bricks around the window and stuff like that. So from our point of view, we can issue a quote to a customer.
Share with me why the amount of Because someone's thinking, what you talk about bricks, why are bricks important?
It's a standard metric measurement, so so you know how much the measurement is.
Yep.
So from that we can obviously issue a price within a certain tolerance, and we go through this with the customer and we say, this is what it is. Obviously a full site survey needs to be done, so we ask them to send as many photos as they can across, get kind of what their ideas are for design wise, and then we'll look at the property and say, look, have you considered this, this and this, share photos, and then from that it's real simple. We'll send a couple of prices over to them, and then discussion goes from there really, and then if they want to proceed, then we come out and do a full site survey.
Nice. I think, like, not to gloss over that, we took photos of every window at this property, sent them across to Glazing Hub, and within 48 hours we had a full quote back for every single window, every door, and then we got some options. Can you just share with the people what we have going into this and why we've chosen the windows that we've chosen?
Yeah, so we looked at the property and obviously the character that it's got. You've got the timber windows with the Georgian bar. We kind of went back and forward, shared standard UPVC. I think would look kind of out of place with it. So we're going with the flush UPVC, toyed with the idea of putting the Georgian bars back in, but then we also looked at the concept of putting lead, and it was a mutual agreement that I think the lead would make it, stand out, look really nice on the property. So that's what we're going with. So it's an agate grey, light grey, window externally, white internal with lead.
While we've got you, one of the considerations that I've got, and we're actually just inside talking about this, just come inside, you'll see in here, watch your head, it's quite dark.
Yeah, it's really dark.
So what are our options? I want to get as much, where Harry stood now, I want to get as much of that natural light in here as possible. What would you do? What would you recommend?
Ideally, we switch that to a single door. That's what we need to do instead of doing the double doors like it is. Switch it to a single.
Oh, definitely.
Switch it to a single, put some glass in it and try and do it. This really needs to, there we are not a need for this.
Would you take this door out completely?
I would,
Fine.
personally. You don't need it. The only reason, like this obviously has got no locks on it. It's nothing. So they've put that in there for extra security. Well, this was going to be an exterior door, so I'll take this out and just let as much natural light come through.
Yeah.
Plaster it in.
The one thing I like about this though is when you're coming in from the back garden, you've got a space before you enter, because this is a kitchen. You've got a space before you enter the kitchen to take your muddy boots off or whatever it is. And I think this is largely going to be the main, this probably won't be the main entrance actually, because you go straight around that side into the utility.
But you still got the space to put your muddy boots and everything like that.
Yeah, we just need the lighting.
Once we've liaised with the customer, they've sent all their details in, photos and everything like that, and we've given a quote across to them. When they want to proceed, we'll come out and do a final survey. So what we're doing here with Terry, we just measure all the apertures. An aperture is the hole where the window sits, or the door. We'll do 3 measurements across, 2 up and down either side, just for obviously brick variations and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we do. Adam, just quickly on this window, how do you, design-wise, we're just going to do the one opener because it's got a fixed window at the minute, so that it matches in with the rest of the property. Just do one side opener. So obviously this is split down the middle at the minute.
Yep.
Fixed both sides. So normally you'd have an opener. It's a habitable room. You'd have it so that you can open. So the plan is to put an opener here and then a fixed on this side.
Makes sense. How do you choose which side opens, or is it just down to preference?
So on a flush, it doesn't really make a huge difference because on a fixed opener, you have a dummy sash. So basically they get the opening sash and they fix it shut so it looks symmetrical. On a standard normal PVC window, you have extra glass so you can see where the opener is quite clearly. So normally you would always put your openers on the side of the property so it balances. Okay. So on this side of the property, on the left hand side of the property, you put the openers on the left. On the right hand side of the property, you put the openers on the right hand side, and it just balances it.
Perfect.
Aesthetically, it looks better.
Perfect. So we're going with one opener and we're taking it on the left hand side?
Correct, on the left.
Nice. Just out of curiosity.
Yes. You
did that thing just when you were doing, whenever I see you or Tez talking about windows, you kind of like draw this, and I know what that is.
Yeah.
Because of how it's represented in an image.
Correct.
Can you just draw on your iPad how an image of a window looks where it shows what side is opening?
So this is your opening side. The point here basically shows where the hinges are, at which point it's hinged, and your handle effectively will be in this point here. So yeah, that's how you draw it. Door wise, Measurement wise there's no difference. The only thing that you've just got to be careful is obviously the threshold detail, so the door's not scraping on the inside floor.
1940, including 30mm knock-on.
When the top of the frame is buried behind the plaster, what we do, we put a 30mm plastic insert basically that goes on top of the frame, and it just drops the frame down so that you don't lose the whole frame behind the plaster.
Joe, you asked me about the finished floor height.
Correct.
I don't know how much of a problem it is for now, but we don't know. All we know is we're not going down from that. Worst case is we're going to either laminate or carpet. We just don't know what we're doing.
It's a big problem because we need to know, just so we're working out threshold details,
Yep.
because the door's opening in,
Yep.
we need to make sure that we're not fouling onto the floor, because otherwise we're going to scrape it, or worst case scenario, the door won't open.
So what measurements can you take today that I can then confirm with you next week what we're doing with it?
What you've got there is really like a low alley threshold, a low aluminium threshold. It keeps it as low as possible.
Yep.
From that, there's a next one up, which is a 57mm threshold, which is a low UPVC.
Yep.
And then the full height threshold is 70mm. That will give us clearance, but the only negative to that is you're then stepping over a huge step, which most people don't want. If we take measurements to that existing floor now,
Yep.
and then if you are going to bring it up, tell us exactly how much you're going to bring it up by,
Yep.
and then I can make the calculations and sort it. The frame finishes before obviously the wall, so we're just obviously exposing the trim, taking the trim off, exposing the hole to see what they've hidden, what hidden gems are behind it. It might be that they've brought it in because of the inside, but obviously, well, you can clearly see they've inserted a piece of timber down the side and then trimmed over the top. So that's what that piece of timber is there. So we'll measure the internal to see whether there's a reason for it, so then we can take it wider.
Joe, what are you going to do here? You're going to replicate this door shape?
Yes, correct.
You're going to replicate this exact shape?
Yes.
I didn't know that was possible.
We'll just template the top.
When you say template it, you mean you're physically just going to take multiple measurements?
For now we will, but then we'll cut a template, send it up to them so it's exactly to what it should be. So basically all they'll do, they'll go plyboard and just cut it around this aperture.
I just learned that aperture's a hole.
Correct.
Does that cost more than a normal?
Yes.
How much?
More. Chunk. It's a chunk more. It's a chunk more, but it keeps the character of the property, and that's key. I think with a character, with a property like this, is, you know, that's why we've gone with the flush. Looking at the lead, it will look fantastic at the end. Whereas if you start trying to put a standard door in there and trimming it, you just lose the character.
So this is classed as like a custom.
Yeah,
door.
correct. We've got a bit of a difficult question to ask because it changes the look of the property. Obviously, that window at the minute is split into three.
Yeah.
But for fire escape, it won't comply. You've got to have just over 600. So when the window's open, you've got a clear means of escape out the window.
Okay.
That window there is 1270 wide, split into three.
Okay.
So we're definitely not going to comply with fire regs.
So you just make it look like that one?
Yeah, exactly. But there is a loophole that effectively, if you want to keep it exactly like that, as long as we don't make the situation any worse, we can have it like that.
Would rather not play into a loophole, would rather keep it completely on reg. So happy to just swap it to that look and feel.
Fine, perfect. Thank you.
While we're talking about window sizes, there's certain rooms in the property, as you've seen,
Yeah.
it's just very dark.
Yeah.
Should we be thinking about, well, especially when we go inside together in a minute, bigger windows in certain spaces?
The only complication with that is obviously you've got to just think of lintels and stuff like that. Over a window you'll have a lintel,
Yep.
and that's obviously for the width of the window. Once you start going wider, you've got to all of a sudden start installing new lintels above it. If you're coming down, it's not so much of an issue.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're going wider, it becomes a problem.
Can you just explain what a lintel does?
A lintel basically is there to make the window structurally A-OK, so it holds obviously the weight of above.
Got all the brickwork above a window.
Correct. Just
Then a
holds it.
lintel
Yep,
distributes the weight around the window.
correct.
Joe looked a little bit nervous when he saw the triangle. What's the matter, Joe?
Yeah, we need to see what's behind that though, because that hole there is nowhere near the size of what the hole is internally.
So to give you a bit of context, what we're trying to work out at the moment is we found a tiny triangular dormer window style thing that when we bought the property was boarded up. We've exposed the timber and it looks like all that's happened previously is they've just put glass in the hole, so not a window. So we're just trying to work out what's the best solution to get around this at the moment.
This roof, what's happening to it? Is this coming off as well?
Don't think so.
What's happening with the repairs? Like, you got holes.
Yeah, they're doing remedial work down here.
It's not throwing me, I just know obviously these tiles are loose, and what I don't want is for them to come and obviously do all that, pull the lead flashing back, and then we're going to disturb it all by doing the window. That's my only concern with it.
What's measuring here?
So once your windowsill drops below 800 mil, it basically just needs safety glass, because you'll naturally, if you were to trip, you would normally grab hold of your sill. Because it's lower, you'll normally hit the frame. And if it's just standard glass, there's a chance obviously you could damage yourself. So we put safety glass in, it just makes it safer for the homeowners. So just on this, obviously this is a sash window at the minute.
Yep.
So the difference is, if you look at the rest of the windows, they sit in between the brickwork. This sash window sits behind the brickwork, because obviously it has the boxes
Yep.
where the weights and pulleys are. So what we're going to do, because this is going back to a flush, we're going to obviously sit it exactly the same so it matches in with the rest. So just when you're plastering the property,
Yep.
it just needs to be plastered so obviously it looks like the same. But it's just so that you know you're going to lose this brickwork, so that we match in with the rest of the property.
Bring it all forward, makes sense.
So a sliding sash window is your traditional sliding sash that obviously slides up and down. On the old style, you had your weights and pulleys which sit in a box. So it always obviously sits behind your face brick, whereas a standard window, normally you'll sit it within the brickwork. So what we'll do with this window, with the flush PVC that we're going to put in, we'll sit it between the brickwork, take the boxes out, timber that all off, so it just needs plastering back in. That's us all done. All measured, got everything we need. What we'll then do, go back to the unit, get it all inputted into the computer, send over the frame schedule, which basically we'll run through with the client, and then get it all signed off and get it ready to order.
So this week, it's the first time I saw the property after 4 weeks of being away. The rip out was fully completed and the landscaping has started. Gotta say, super impressed and honestly extremely excited about this project. Naturally I'm biased, but walking into that property, and I guess just seeing it so clean and organised, ready for the next pieces of work that are taking place, to see all the materials ripped out, even the stuff that we might need for landscaping in the future, like those rare blue bricks you might have seen as one of the backdrops of the shot. We've managed to keep all that, stacked it, organised it in case we need it as part of the build moving forward. Just having a clean site, one from a production, also in terms of just knowing that we've got the professionals on site, it's really nice for me to see. Next, that landscaping, that two-tier landscaping we've got. We've got Brett landscaping, some porcelain paving, 22mm porcelain, getting installed on that lower tier. And I'm looking forward to seeing and sharing with you the designs for that upper tier. So when it comes to this week, the thing that we weren't expecting was that roofing. But as I said, looking at the roof, it's absolutely rotten. We've got to do a proper job. So you saw the scaffolding go up. Next Monday, here's the work that's going to start. Firstly, the roofers are in. So we're going to have a team of roofers, 5 to 10 roofers on site, on that scaffolding, and the first thing that they're doing is taking all the old roof tiles off. Now we're keeping those, they will be going back on the roof. Yes, there'll be some damages and we'll have to replace those, but we're gonna take the old roof tiles off and make good of that roof, which probably means replacing a lot of it so it's structurally sound. Then you'll see them replace all the roof tiles, as well as the installation of 4 key light roof windows in that master bedroom. Really excited to see that. When I went up into that space, that really helped me understand the vision we had for that room. That's gonna look stunning. And one thing that we might not have mentioned, I can't remember, is we're thinking about taking the ceiling out, because it will just create a lot more open space. If we can take that ceiling out and put the roof window slightly higher, that room will be absolute stunning master. We've also got Nick Bundy from Nick Bundy Electrical coming in to start the first fix on the electrics. So don't forget, there's 2 properties, the house and the cottage. Both are getting a full house rewire. So the first part of that is ripping out everything that's there at the moment and chasing out all the walls. And we've got Chris Winterton from Minty Property Development starting the first fix on the plumbing and heating. Now, what I'm going to be trying to do next week is be pulling these 2 companies aside and asking them what they're doing, why they're doing it, and for homeowners like yourself, what considerations you need to be thinking about. The goal of this always is, if you're thinking about home improvement right now, you want to know what to ask if you're a verified trade. So you're going to be able to hear it firsthand from the professionals. If this is the first thing you've watched on Verified Build, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, stick them below. We're going to be reading every single one. And let me always remind you, I'm not the professional trade. I'm just here to take you on the journey with us. I will find the right people to ask, get the information, the advice, all the tips that you're looking for, ready for your home improvement project. Hit subscribe. See you on the next episode.